Welcome to this week's Forex forecast for the week ending March 31st, 2023. My name is Justin Bennett with Daily Price Action, and in today's forecast, we are going to discuss the DXY, the US dollar index, the EURUSD, the pound, the dollar versus the Canadian dollar, and also the euro versus the yen. Now, before we get started, guys, I did just partner up with Prime XBT. They're a broker that offers Forex, crypto, commodities, and indices. And if you sign up with my link and use promo code DPA, you are going to get up to a $7,000 trading bonus and also lifetime access to our Discord group if you deposit $500 or more. Now, if you're here on YouTube, I'll put a link in the description. Use that link, use promo code DPA. If you're on the website, click on the link that says free access and you'll find the link on that page. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here with the DXY, the US dollar index, which you can see right now the market found support last week at 102.60. So this is something I wrote about on the blog where I mentioned how this area was incredibly significant because it was a key horizontal for the DXY. It was also the bottom of this short-term descending channel. And furthermore, you can see where from this low up here to the recent high, we have the what's called the golden pocket right there between the 0.65 and 0.618 fib. Okay, so this was an incredibly significant area for the DXY. Sure enough, we did get that bounce here on Thursday. So you can even see on the 4-hour time frame how this worked out, where the DXY closed below the bottom of this channel, and you can see retest here, retest, reclaim. All right, so we saw some nice follow through on Friday. However, the key for the DXY this week is going to be to get back above the 103.50 yearly open. This is going to be an incredibly significant test for dollar bulls. They are going to have to reclaim this on at least a daily closing basis, get back up here to open up the top of this channel and also that 104.12 area. Now above that, we have 105.04 monthly open and also that 105.60 multi-month key level. Okay, so this is the one at 105.60 that I have talked about before, where this is really going to be the key for further upside from the dollar. If we are going to see the dollar rally in the coming months, this is the one that dollar bulls are going to have to break, because ultimately until the dollar breaks out from this, if it does break out from this, all of this recently is just sideways action. All right, but in the short term, it's going to come down to 102.60, staying above that. As long as the dollar stays above that area around 102.60 this week, then I am relatively constructive on the dollar. But again, it does have to get above 103.50 and also the top of this channel. So next up, let's take a look at the EURUSD, which in a lot of ways is the inverse of the DXY, although not exactly. And you can see that on the daily time frame, this is the large channel that I'm watching right now. You can see it extends off of those October lows. And this is the one where if we were to see a breakdown in the coming days, we don't know if it will, because right now it is still well above that support area. But if we were to see this breakdown in the coming weeks, this would, potentially create a larger bearish reversal here for the euro. So this is the one that I'm watching right now. Support comes in down around 106.50 or so. This coming week. So that is going to be a very significant support for the EURUSD. Now, I am short here. I got short last week at 108.50. So this area right up here, you can see we got the bearish rejection from that region. And I mentioned this in Discord to members as it was playing out. So you can see that off of this closing price, there is a trend line that came into play last week. Okay, so you can see the closing price back here. We've got this low, this one, and then this closing price right before the breakdown. All right, so you can see we got the close below here, retest as resistance, and then the rounded retest last week. All right, so I mentioned this to members when the euro was up here on Thursday, and this is where I was getting short. Okay, so, I am still in that short position. I will look to add to it if we do see the EURUSD drop below the bottom of this channel in the coming days. That's if we get it. Right now, what I would say is the key for the euro this week, early this week, is going to be 107.60. All right, so you can see that right back here, it was resistance, support, resistance, and resistance once again. So as of right now, the euro is trading right at that level, maybe just below. All right, so if we look at the 4-hour time frame to see how this market finished up the week, you can see that here's our key level, and the EURUSD did technically close just below that on Friday. Okay, so that's going to be something to watch in the week ahead. If we see the EURUSD stay below this and start to trend lower, then that's our sign that this area is still intact as resistance. But once again, this daily channel, okay, the bottom of this channel down here, right around 106.50 is going to be critical for the Euro USD this week. Now, get below that, we're looking at lower targets for the Euro, like potentially down here toward the range lows right around 105.30, and potentially lower than that. But right now, once again, this area around 106.50 is going to be key for the Euro USD in the coming week. So next up, let's take a look at the pound here, which has given us some really clean technicals over the past few weeks. And really the past few months. You can see that this is the range that we've discussed for the pound. And the market gave us a fake out back here. Okay, so we got the close below, 2 closes in fact below this area, reclaim up here. That was the long trigger right there for the pound. Now, as of last week, okay, the market did close above the mid-range of this that I've discussed. So we've been talking about this a lot in Discord. You can see where 1.22, this is the mid-range of this larger range that the pound has been in now for the last few months. Okay, so what happened last week, and I mentioned this in Discord as well, as the pound was breaking down. In fact, just before it broke down, we were talking about this here where I said this could be a little, short-term opportunity for a breakdown and that move down toward 1.22, which we did get here on Thursday going into Friday. So we got the little move, nice little trade. You can even see on the 1 hour time frame how this played out. So this is our key level. We got the close below, retest up here. Okay, so that would have been your short entry and a target down there right around 1.22. Now, as for the coming week, okay, for the pound, what's going to be key is to see how the market reacts around 1.22. If it takes this out, okay, we get the close below here, something like this becomes resistance, and we probably see that move down here toward the range lows, okay? Because similar to this back here, that would become a fake out up here. If we get the close below 1.22, we probably see 1.19. All right, now it's going to be a little bit tough trying to play the long side for the pound, in my opinion, especially with what's going on with the DXY, and also the fact that the market did break down from this rising wedge. Because if you extend these levels out, all right, this area up here does become a critical resistance area for the pound. So even if we see it further upside from 1.22, the pound's going to have to deal with these highs this week. Okay, so I do kind of like the short side better if we get below 1.22, simply because of the structure here on the pound chart, but also from what we're seeing on the DXY. So next up, we have the dollar versus the Canadian dollar. And this is a multi-year channel that I've talked about before. So this range we can see has been intact now for this pair ever since 2015. You can see we got the move up, the move down, back to resistance, back to support. And now the market is coming off of that support and we have a nice uptrend. Okay, so really, I mean, right now I'm only looking for longs. And right now I do have a long position on, as mentioned in Discord last week. So I announced this to members when I took it. I'm in from 1.3664. And I did take 25% of that off before the weekend, just took some profit, just in case up here. But right now I am still in that trade. I am looking to add to it this week if we do get follow through. All right, now specifically, what I'm watching for is this area right around 1.3735 to hold. So you can see on the 4 hour time frame how this was resistance. We got the breakout. Not a great looking candle on the 4 hour time frame, but the market is still above that support. All right, so we could see a little bit of a dip this week, as markets like to do when they open. But as long as we see the dollar CAD stay above here, then I am looking for that move higher from this pair. Now, there is a chance we do come back and retest 1.366 simply because the market is still very sideways. So keep that in mind as well. You know, any kind of longs here, in my opinion, you would not want your stop to be any higher than this low back here, okay? Because even with this, you know, I got in back here, but if my stop had been really tight, I would have gotten taken out here. But instead, my stop was, you know, well below these areas, just in case we did get something like this wick. All right, so we could see a little bit of a dip here from the market because, again, it is very sideways. But ultimately, I do think that the dollar CAD moves higher in the coming weeks. Now, the target for this idea, at least for me, is going to be up here at 1.388, followed by 1.4. Okay, but if we look at the dollar CAD, and I wrote about this on Friday on the blog, if you look at the weekly time frame, this is the top of that range that the pair has been in now since 2015. Okay, so it's coming off of support right down here. And so really, I mean, over the coming weeks and even months, we could very well see the dollar CAD break out of this range, okay, break these highs and head up here toward this area, at which time I would expect a pullback, you know, from that area, just given its significance. But really, I think over the coming weeks, we could see the dollar CAD move significantly higher from current levels. Okay, last up, I want to mention the euro versus the yen. because we do have a potential head and shoulders that is developing. All right, so you can see that we have a potential left shoulder back here, the head, and a possible right shoulder. Now, this is a potential setup simply because we do not have a close below the neckline. All right, so that's going to be key for this pattern to confirm. All right, we need to close below the area right around 138.80 or so, maybe 139, this region through here in the coming days. If we get that, okay, and the market holds below here, then we're looking at probably a run toward these lows right around 133.40. Now, the objective for this potential head and shoulders, if it does confirm, is going to be this monthly pivot right around 127. Okay, so this is the objective. If you take the height of this pattern, okay, measure lower from a potential breakout point, you get this area around 127, and that's significant potentially because you'll notice here on the monthly time frame, this has been a pivot for this market, okay, for years. So going all the way back to 2003, 2004, the 127 area has been a critical level for the euro yen, and it just so happens that that is the objective of this potential head and shoulders. All right, so once again, pretty straightforward from the euro yen. Right now, there's really not a whole lot to do until the market gets below this neckline, which comes in right there around the 139 area. Okay, so, break this on a daily closing basis this week, hold below it. I think we get a move down here toward 133.40 and potentially lower. Just keep in mind though, with a pair like this, you can see from the chart that it does like to chop around sideways. Okay, so this is a case too where if you're going to trade this, smaller size and wider stops and also a lot of patience are going to be critical. All right, so that's it for today's forecast. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helped. And once again, if you haven't signed up with Prime XBT, be sure to see the link in the description. Use promo code DPA for up to $7,000 trading bonus. Deposit $500 or more, and I will give you lifetime access to our Discord group. Have a great rest of the weekend and trade well next week.